Hello and welcome to the Northwest Emo Show. I'm your host, Reese Ritchie, and you just heard Daydreams by Easy Life coming on their debut album, their new project, Life's a Beach. It's the perfect segue into our episode today, which is Where the Hell is Falmouth? I'm joined by Billy Mattock and Connor down from Falmouth University with several different projects between them. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see them waving. If you're listening on the radio, you might be able to hear them in the background. But do you want to start by introducing yourself, boys, letting us know a bit about you and where you are at the moment?
Hello, my name is Connor Childs. I am from the Midlands and I now live in Falmouth.
Nice.
Hello, my name's Billy. You may have heard me last week on this show.
Yes.
We did a little thing between ourselves. I'm also from the Midlands, and I also now live in Falmouth.
Yes, that reminds me brilliantly. So me and Billy did a YouTube interview as well as the show live with the music involved. I've got a series of interviews that are coming out on YouTube. I'm sure we'll get Connor on the show as well at some point to talk about more in depth about them and their history and their past and different interesting bits about them. But do you want to start by kind of telling me about all the different projects you're involved about? And then we'll get into the first of your tracks.
We are currently involved in many projects together. One of them being the Doinks, another one being Rizts and Solo, where Billy is involved in Rat, all caps, and I am involved with something called Mothman the Man, which Billy helps me out with sometimes.
Excellent. And you'll be able to hear all these through the show. They'll be on our Spotify playlist that goes out weekly that you can find through our Instagram. If you haven't seen it yet, check out the socials. But do you want to start by introducing your first track, Connor, that you've recommended for us to play on the show today?
Absolutely. This is Computer Brain by some really handsome guy called Mothman the Man. Take it away.
Excellent. And if you're watching this on YouTube, now is just us talking, whereas there would actually be edited in a track for the live radio show, but we'll just continue with the discussion. So that was Mothman the Man with Computer Brain, an excellent track by Connor here, who I'm interviewing with alongside Billy. The next thing I kind of want to talk about is, where is Falmouth? Like, why does so little people know about it when there's so much going on from what I can tell? And what was it like establishing yourself on the scene when you came to uni? Because I know students have a hard time finding themselves in a new city regardless, let alone trying to make a music career.
Well, Falmouth's a bit on the edge of the earth, I think. You know, the UK has got like the main UK, and then there's like a little bit that comes off. It's like right on the edge. We're pretty much there. So no one really tours down here. They always come to Bristol and then just forget about Cornwall. The best we get is Plymouth, and that's still like an hour and a half away. But being like how we introduced ourselves to the scene, I guess, we just always went to gigs pretty much, and like people, mainly this guy called AJ, who runs like a promotional thing around here in like his own time. Like he's got his separate job, but he does this on the side, called In Between Days. I think they're having a name change soon, but yeah, they're called In Between Days in a minute. And he noticed that we were like coming to all these gigs, and he like came up to us and had a chat, asked what we're doing, and said like, since you guys are so involved, like when you guys start something, like we'll be more than happy to have you guys play. So we were like, oh, sick. So, but yeah, that was like our first introduction to the scene. We've only really played with the Doinks live because everything else has come like either just before or since the first lockdown. But yeah, we played like 6 gigs with the Doinks or something, in only like a month and a half.
Working hard and fast.
Yeah, but I think it's a good job that we did so many, because we built up all these connections with with everyone around the scene, you know.
Yeah, and that is that organic networking that I mentioned, like making connections at gigs that aren't just your own, going to other people's, meeting PR, meeting publicizing agents, meeting the guys that put on gigs out and about. So kind of through these connections and stuff like that, and establishing yourself on the scene with the Doinks, are you looking to continue playing live as soon as you can after lockdown? Have you got anything interesting that you'd like to do down in Falmouth?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're missing gigs a lot, I think.
Yeah.
And with all these new projects that we've got out, we want to perform with them as well. Like Connor's got the Mothman stuff, and we've already got like a band prepared for that. And then there's Rizts, which we did like a live session a while ago with the uni.
Yeah.
But you know, I feel like it's definitely more like proper live music. Like it'll be great with
Yeah.
a room full of sway people. Yeah, and the Doinks definitely we want to get back on that because they were just so much fun.
Yeah, of course. I mean, punk is some of the funnest music to play. It's just loud
Yeah.
and fast, and it's
Yeah.
enjoyable. Do you want to start by talking us through Face Paint? It's one of the first bands that you recommended that we play on the show. Maybe talk about some of the friends that you know, and then introduce that track that you've recommended.
Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, Face Paint is like a surf indie band who used to take inspiration from King Gizzard quite a bit, but I don't think they use that anymore. They're from like Truro College, which is like a few miles away, so pretty close. And yeah, they're pretty young, full of spunk, and ready to show us what for. They're pretty good.
Excellent. And that was Blue by Face Paint, which I'm back announcing now because we're recording this over Zoom and then adding that onto YouTube. So yeah, as I said, that was Blue by Face Paint. And the next thing that I kind of want to get onto now that we're discussing some of the friends that you have around in the scene, some of the different bands, kind of really talking about this is what makes up music in Falmouth. Who are some of the bands that you know? How did you meet them? How diverse is the scene? Because you mentioned there's some inspirations from King Gizzard. Obviously, you've got punk projects like Rat is very different. Mothman is very different. How diverse is this across the whole scene, or is this something that you bring a bit more yourselves?
In terms of like diversity and within the local scene, I think there's quite a lot, especially for such a small place. But it's all sort of centered around alternative music, which is good. Good for you.
It very much fits the theme of the show.
So yeah, you've got like Face Paint doing like surf indie kind of punky at times, and you've got like the Doinks, you've got like straight punk, and then you've got Hummus Boys, who are more maybe like a little bit fuzzy, a little bit more lo-fi as well, but still like a punk kind of vibe. And then you've got people like Inca, who's like electronic alternative music, which we'll hear later in the show. We've got it planned. Yeah, and then like even with just us two, you can see the diversity. Like there's like the electronic Rat, and then like the fuzzed out Mothman, and like the punky Doinks, and yeah,
for sure.
Friends in the scene. Do you wanna?
Oh yeah, we have lots of friends in the scene. We're kind of like the popular kids in high school. We got tons, like AJ, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Connor Powell, who's in a few bands as well, like Bruce Cruz and Mopes.
Yeah. He's the drummer for Rizts as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we just like met him on the street. On Halloween or something, and we were like, we just like, because we'd seen him play before, we were like, oh yeah, we like
no, that's a lie.
What happened?
You've been lied to.
I can only apologize.
That's fake news. Our producer did a gig with him before we came to Falmouth. And then he did a gig with his band Rennie and the Bonglords, and then we went to that, and we were like, we've heard about you, and it was kind of, and I guess it was kind of odd because he was still in college and we were in uni, but he was nice.
Yeah. But yeah, we made a friend there, and then we've got like people at uni like Back to 50, which are very nice people, despite what we might say as the Doinks. We have over rude. Yeah, and like Hummus Boys, because we sort of went to see them, thought they were really good, and then we
Yeah.
invited them to play with us like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, it's sick. We get gigs," and we sort of made friends with them as well, which is nice.
Nice, amazing. And is there one place that we can kind of find a lot of these together? I know that kind of in the Falmouth scene, I've seen you both sharing the Spotify playlist going around. Is there something going on where they're all kind of consolidated?
Yeah, what, like online?
Yeah.
There's a couple. There's the Falmouth music scene, which is my playlist.
Yeah.
Which I can send you a link to.
Yeah, of course. We'll share that on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So check that out if you want to listen to a bunch of new bands all in one go.
And then Connor's got...
There's the Surf Radio, which is the Falmouth University's radio station, where I am head of music. We have 2 playlists. We've kind of got like a hot list, which is kind of like stuff that's come out within the past like year or so, like few months.
Yeah.
And we've got one which is kind of like just everything. But it kind of takes all Falmouth stuff. So it's kind of like people that I haven't even seen, that I don't know about. But so it's kind of like the Falmouth scene is way bigger than I thought. Like even recently, because I looked and there were just loads of people. Who are they?
Yeah, amazing. And obviously, Surf Radio is the Falmouth equivalent of Fuse FM that you're listening to now live, or that I'm recording for if you're watching on YouTube. So this next track that the boys have recommended is "Beautiful" by Inca Opendo, if I pronounced that correctly.
I think
so. Enjoy.
Yeah.
And that track was "Beautiful" by Inca Opendo. We'll cut that out on the radio. And that track,
clip it at the end.
yeah. And that track was "Beautiful" by Inca Opendo, that I've pronounced correctly now. So the next thing that I want to get onto is you are both vaguely from the Midlands, as I am. I went up north to Manchester for uni, kind of fell in love with music journalism, the gigs up there. You both decided to go to Falmouth. How different is the scene in Falmouth to kind of the Midlands where you were before? I know that obviously you would have been in school or like sixth form, college, so it might be slightly different because you were younger, and obviously now that you're independent, living away from home, you can play gigs whenever you want. But how kind of different is that scene, and is there anything interesting you've noticed or you've learned now that you've experienced Falmouth as well?
Well, compared to Northampton, well, I don't know if this is just because I was sort of too young to be going out on my own, and we lived on like the outskirts of Northampton, but it always seemed like every now and then there was a gig, right? And I do really like some of the Northampton bands, like Blood Vision, Nailbreaker.
Yeah.
They're amazing. But it felt like you had to wait a while for something to come on, and it wasn't like even because we went to go see Blood Visions.
And in that tiny little basement in that pub. And it was just all stainless steel. Yeah, the Garibaldi Hotel. I remember that.
And we went, and we really wanted to see Blood Visions because, I'd seen them like once before. I think they were supporting my brother actually. And we turned up. It was like 10:30, and we were like, "Shit, can you cut that out?"
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, we can bleep that out.
We were like, "Oh damn, we're late." But then. But we waited like half an hour, and then Nailbreaker came on, and we were like, "Well, hang on."
He was the opening act.
First act. When Blood Vision's coming on, and we just had to go home because I think we'd like left the party, and we were hoping no one was gonna realize.
Yeah, I remember that. It was someone's birthday, wasn't it? And we just like dipped for Molly Bowler's birthday, and we just dipped for like 2 hours to go to a gig, and then we felt bad, and we were like, "Oh, we should better go back."
Yeah, so it's like not that organized, not very often. I think it's like picking up now, but while we're there. But as soon as we got to Falmouth, it was like every single week there was something different on that we could go to. And now that we have our own, like a few different projects, we can play every week as well if you want to. like we can do Doinks one week, and Rizts the next, then Mothman, then Rat,
Yeah.
and then like do a rotation. Like
And it's
one
always
month.
fresh because you're always playing different stuff as well. It's not like
Yeah.
the Doinks playing every night for a fortnight. It keeps it interesting for you and the people listening. Yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, we've got a track from Billy that is airing for the very first time on the radio. It's its debut. It's currently unreleased as we record this, but will be released by the time that the radio show goes live. Do you want to introduce your track, Billy?
Yes, this is called Skin by Rat, my solo project. It's coming out on the 13th, as all my releases do.
Yes, Billy releases one song every month on the 13th without fail. So check that out.
All right, yeah, Skin by Rat.
Excellent. And then that would play on the radio. Do you want to back announce it as well?
Yeah, sure. Okay, here we go. So that was Skin by Rat. Check me out on Instagram and whatnot.
Brilliant. So being from Falmouth, one of the big things that I want to talk about, and I'm sure is very big in the scene, obviously Boardmasters Festival is the big musical event in Cornwall every year. It's the biggest one where like bands come down, things happen, surf festival as well as radio. Is that kind of the dream for Falmouth bands? Is that like the big first step from moving from Falmouth to countrywide gigs?
Yeah, the first step definitely. Yeah, we have like a lot of friends who have played it or who were looking to play it before it got cancelled.
Yeah.
And we ourselves are looking to play with the Doinks. And Factor 50 have entered a competition as well, and I think if like a battle of the bands kind of thing called Univision. Check it out. It's on the 23rd of this month, which is April.
That's true.
Yeah, and hopefully if they win that, they get a spot at Boardmasters. But yeah, it's definitely like, you know, welcome to it. The way AJ described it is like Falmouth's like a bubble.
Yeah.
And you've got to like break out the bubble.
Yeah.
To sort of get anywhere and start hopefully doing it like semi-professionally. And I think Boardmasters definitely helps you. It's like the prick on the bubble. You sort of introduce yourselves to acts who wouldn't normally come to
Falmouth.
It's a nuke, isn't it? Who wouldn't normally come down to Cornwall. Gets a bit of recognition and it's a bit of fun as well.
Amazing. And obviously that's kind of a big step. Boardmasters obviously is sold out for this year already. I've got a ticket, but they've not announced the lineup whatsoever. So we will wait with bated breath to find out if any of these projects make it onto the lineup. So we've got two tracks coming up next. We're going to double play. One by your friends, Resna, and one by your joint project as well, Rizts. So the next two tracks coming up are Wouldn't You Like to Know by Resna, followed by Snow by Rizts. That is now playing if you're listening on the radio live. If you're still on YouTube with us here, listening to the banter, they are currently playing. If not, you can check it out on Mixcloud. We do have a Mixcloud where we back update all of the radio shows, so you can go and listen if you've missed it live. That all has the music attached, but obviously I don't have the copyright license to play everything on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Northwest Emo Show with me, your host, Reese Ritchie. I'm here with Billy and Connor. We're talking about the Falmouth music scene, what it's like, playing music and trying to start a career down in Cornwall. You just heard Wouldn't You Like to Know by Resna and Snow by Rizts. So the next thing that I want to talk about, first of all, Billy, I'd like to mention James, if we can, and talk a little bit about that inspiration. And talk about your older brother and some of his different projects and what it's like coming up into the scene when you've watched him because he's a bit older. And then I'd also kind of like I want to talk about your new projects and what it's like having the ability and the freedom to go, you know what, I just want to make this record or I want to try this out, and being able to do that. How fulfilling is that as an artist? And does it improve the rest of your works knowing that you're not tied down to any one project permanently?
Do you want to?
Well, so I've got my solo project, Mothman the Man.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. It's something that I wanted to do for a year or so, and I think now I'm at the point where I'm like, I think they're at a point where I'm able to release them because I'm confident in their overall quality and ability to smash records. Yeah, it's kind of cool because I can do like Doinks one week and like destroy my voice, and then like a week later I can do a fuzzed out indie track, which is about like my calendar. It's a lot of fun, and I enjoy it, and you should all listen to it with open hearts, open minds, and open arms.
Amazing. And Billy, do you want to mention James and kind of talk about what it's like having music run through the family and having someone in your life that's played things like Reading Festival?
Yeah. Well, it's obviously a big inspiration, because when you normally see artists playing like big festivals like Reading, and they did Summer Sonic in Japan. There's like I've got a really good video of that, and we should watch it sometime.
For sure.
And yeah, it's definitely a big inspiration, because when you normally see artists on these festivals, you're sort of disconnected from them as people. They're not really like on the same level as yourself. But James being my brother, it's like, well, hang on, if he can do that, surely I can as well. And yeah, it's definitely a big inspiration. Like his songwriting as well, like particularly his lyrics are I've always liked his lyrics, so I try and take inspiration from them. Yeah, it's nice. I like it.
Amazing. So if you didn't know, Billy's older brother is James Mattock. He was a member of Sharks, who played Reading Festival, I believe in 2006, 2007. They're still on the lineup if you go find the old.
I think it was 2012 or.
Yes, I could be wrong. Yeah. And if you go back and find the old like tour list, the big poster, you can see them on it. And he's currently a member of the Violent Hearts. And is he in any other projects at the moment?
Yeah, he's got a band called the Nightmares, who I don't think he's like a main writer within them, but it's like really cool, sort of dark. It's kind of like Curie in a way. Yeah, it's good. The Violent Hearts is sort of like his main writing project at the minute. Like he's the most involved with writing for that, I think. They even play like a couple old Shark songs, which is really fun to see live. But yeah, I believe they may have some stuff coming out pretty soon, so check them out.
Very nice. And the reason I bring that up is to talk about, if you're not like massively into music, if you're not studying it like Billy and Connor, or you've not got your own radio show and you're not a music journalist like me, it might seem a bit difficult like to find all these bands or like just to jump in and find new music. But music is so organic. And the reason I wanted to talk about James is because you listen to this radio show just on the fly. You might know me, you might know the guys, you might just be listening to Fuse FM. You hear about the Doinks and you're like, oh, I'm gonna check that out because I like punk, and then you're like, oh well, his older brother is in the Violet Heart, so check that track out. And then you go back and listen to Sharks, or you go and listen to Mothman, or you go from there. Like there's so many different bands attached to different bands. That's why I say like check out social medias, not just because you're going to find out everything about, I don't know, rap, but you'll see who's Billy's working with. You'll see they'll shout other people out on their Instagram or say that they're working with each other. They'll follow each other, and that's one of the best ways to find new music as well, that is like different from the Spotify algorithm, because although that's great, I think everyone kind of relies on Spotify a little bit too much, and you can just find all this stuff organically because these bands know each other. But do you want to announce your final track together, boys, which is from the Doinks?
Yes. Just before we play it though, could I mention that this is we're releasing it as a project called Tunes for Trees.
Yes.
That we're sort of taking part in with Factor 50 and Jake Pavey, who's another guy in our year who does like really cool like ambient sort of soundscapes. It's great music to just put on when you're chilling out or going to bed or whatever. And yeah, we're making cassettes, we're making t-shirts. You can't see it, but there's one hanging on my door. And with each cassette or t-shirt we sell, we're also planting one tree with Tree App, which isn't a
Excellent.
sponsor, by the way. We're just doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. So that being said, should we say it together?
This is the Doinks with It's Not Right.
Amazing. Then obviously we'll play the track live on the radio. And then if you'd like to introduce the track again, and then we'll wrap up the interview.
Together again.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the Doinks with It's Not Right.
Amazing, lads. Thank you so much for joining me for this interview, the live show. If you're listening live, thank you very much for joining us. If not, you can catch us on Mixcloud, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can watch the full interview over there. Make sure to check us out on social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We'll also be sharing the boys' stuff, and there'll be links to their Instagrams on the announcements for this show and when we upload it, so you can go and find them on there. Check them out. All of their stuff's on Spotify, I believe. The new tracks will be coming out very, very soon. But thank you very much for joining me, boys.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you.
Again.
Thank you.
No worries.